Yeah, it's a crazy business. I don't recommend anyone getting into it. So I'm Brent Bauer. I'm the director of product at Umpqua. I oversee all design development in all categories, so flies, leader tippet, packs, boxes, hooks. We have a few categories. We're really lucky for the foundation that was built by our founder, Dennis Black. He went over to India, Sri Lanka and Thailand, and him and his staff trained many of the tyers that are still employed at those factories. You mentioned our factory in Sri Lanka, Lanka fishing flies. Chandra, one of our main trainers there, has been with Umpqua for 4 decades. She can tie a size 30 no-hackle like in her sleep, and she's still training the people that then train the other people. So having that continuity is a huge advantage. And we have similar people at our other factory in Thailand that's been with us decades as well. So it's kind of a unique situation as far as manufacturer and customer, in that they only manufacture for us. We supply the raw materials that they use to tie the flies. So if a hunt-killed elk is part of the supply chain, you know, our relationship with the middleman in Wyoming brings that elk here. We quality control that elk, you know, check, make sure the tips aren't ground off from being in transit for too long. Just all those little things, you know, then gets QC'd before it goes over to the factories, because at that point, you know, it's not coming back. The raw material supply chain in fly fishing, you know, as you know as well, you know, there's a lot of small mom and pop operations, very few large operations, you know, the few exceptions. And we have a history of relationships with furriers and hunt processed elk. Most of the materials in flies, at least the animal products, originate in the US. So they all come to us and then get shipped over to the factories overseas. So the relationships we have with those suppliers, you know, they kill deer and elk at certain times a year that give you the properties you want out of those materials. Those relationships are critical. And also just having the buying power of Umpqua, you know, helps as well. But at the end of the day, you know, it's all about relationships and being kind of scrappy about how to track down a lot of stuff, because any given year you can have some strange thing that's not available. And our purchasing department, me, I used to buy raw materials. You know, we get on the phone and talk to 5, 6 different people, and usually, you know, we can track down what we need, but it's a challenge, always a challenge. The final part of the quality control process, you know, is literally just me checking flies in when they come from the factories here. It's difficult, you know, to know. We have 5,000 different flies. You know, there's a point where you've seen enough flies where you kind of start developing a gut to where something just looks off. You know, it's not something you can train or teach somebody, and that's a critical part of it. And you know, there are problems, and we have to reject flies and send them back to be changed, but we're willing to do that, which a lot of people aren't. It's like, if you look at it from the outside in, you're like, there's no way you can be successful. It takes a huge team and effort. And just persistence to continue to get things right, because you're never done. I mean, we're still tying Kaufman stimulators 50 years later. It's like you still have to check and make sure they're tying them right, make sure they meet the standards. So it's a process, and you got to be devoted to it and committed to just keep at it, because you're never done.